everyone, my name is Irina Lawrence Matthias, and this is episode 14 of Stories with the Shepherdess. Hello, welcome back. It is a new month. We are now in March. I think when I last posted, it was like the end of January, beginning of February, and short month. Time flies. We are in that sort of post-midwinter hump, and we are getting so excited as the weather is changing. I am in a new background again. I promise once our gathering space is complete, I'm going to have a much more consistent view, but I am in the shop. I am hunkered down. It is a rainy day out. Like, it's just windy, it's just blowing in, it's crazy. I am really happy to have the rain happening though, because it does mean that we should have, fingers crossed, an okay growing season, all things considered, around the farm here. So speaking of the farm, let's get into farm talk. Last time we chatted, I talked about winter farming and just how it's been sort of like difficult and weird, and I am so excited that we are over the like big sort of deep freezes. Fingers crossed. It is March 5th currently, so we could always get more snow, but as of right now the weather has been pretty wet and mild, so I cannot complain. I am furiously skirting fleeces. I have an appointment to drop those off sometime in the next couple weeks with the mill that we're using now for our Shetland fleeces, and I'm really excited for the upcoming batches of flock yarn. We have our long wools at one mill and our Shetlands at the other, and I think everything should be back in time for Maryland sheep and wool, and I am so excited to see all of the beautiful combinations that we have coming up. It's going to be a little bit different this time around because we're experimenting a little bit more. We're blending different fleeces as some of our girls get older and their fleece quality changes. And so we're not blending with outside sheep, but instead of maybe just, Scout and Celeste, we're doing Timmy Scout and Celeste and things like that. So I'm really excited to see how these beautiful long wool yarns come back, and I'm so excited to start working to color like batch and fleece length batch and familial batch together all of our Shetlands for some really beautiful flock yarns coming into the springtime. Looking forward to spring. It always feels weird that we talk about our new flock yarns sort of coming right at the start of spring, but for us, we shear twice a year, but we shear and then we work in the fall, and then we have like an 8-month waiting period. So all of that hard work happens over like the fall and then in the winter, and we get all of our stuff back by springtime. It just feels really exciting because even if we're not lambing and having new life born here on the farm, it is really exciting to sort of get these new yarn babies in and just see how they vary from year to year and how the fiber feels and just all of these lovely things. And our flock yarns, I'm obviously partial, but I do think they are some of the most stunning breed and sheep specific yarns that you can find here, and I'm so excited to just make more things with them. So that being said, with spring, we are also a lavender farm. We have 400 lavender plants, and this is the time of year where we are going to start waking them up. What that means is pull any sort of rocks and leaves from around the sort of base of the plant and start to look for new growth. Fingers crossed, I think our U-pick field did very well wintering. It does look like our pollinator and our personal harvest field, which is where you park at the shop, it does look like it did pretty okay. We had a weird heat snap after we had cut them back to hibernate right around Labor Day. Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, towards October, it got really warm and we did have some growth happening again. So I'm really hoping that we were able to have them sort of go back into dormancy well enough that they work throughout the year. Worst case scenario, there's always next season. we still have, like I said, over 400 plants, so there is plenty to choose from. And I'm really just excited to get it back into the swing of things. I love spring because it means that we can start retidying up our patio area, working on planting in the garden, working on our lavender, checking all of the sheep and assessing the fleece health for the season. It's just a really fun time, and I just cannot wait to keep going. And it also means Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, which is very exciting, and LYS Day. There's a lot that happens in the spring. It's not all just a fall-based activity. So we've done farm talk. Let's move on to what's on my needles. It's a pretty fast and furious one this time, so let's get into it. All right, what's on my needles? Anybody know what it is? I am making a Sophie hood. I saw this pop up. I have made a Sophie scarf out of our Gus Scout and Celeste flock yarn. It's our llama and long wool with some merino blend that I absolutely love. I wear that thing to death, and it's like a taupey neutral, so it just goes with a lot of my clothes. We got in some new yarn. We've carried Kelbourne Woolens for 4 or 5 years now, I think, but they just put out a new yarn, which I'll talk about a little bit later. I'll give you some more details about it. And I was like, I want to really make something out of Kelbourne to have. So I am maybe 18 rows away from like the halfway point. I'm making the small size, and so this is the Sophie hood, and I am using, it's a very lovely spring color. I am using Germantown by Kelbourne Woolens and their new yarn Harmony. I'm obviously just in the lavender spirit, so I am using their lilac color of Germantown, which to me reminds me of like Munstead or our Grosso varieties of lavender that we grow here on the farm. And then this beautiful new Harmony yarn, which is their like mohair silk blend, and this is in the color Periwinkle, so it leans a little bit more blue. But the lilac leans a little bit more warm toned, and when you knit it up, it just gives you this really beautiful iridescent look overall. So I'm having a ton of fun with this. It's really good car knitting, knit night knitting, and I really am enjoying working with it. The Germantown is just, it's like your tried and true sort of workhorse yarn. It's a really nicely spun 100% North American wool, and then their Harmony is of course a mohair silk, and together they just feel so lovely, super squishy, very soft, and I just love that subtle hint of iridescence and halo that you wouldn't normally get with Germantown if you knit it by itself. So adding the Harmony definitely gave it that fuzz that I really enjoy working with. As I raise long wools, I enjoy the fuzz. So I am trucking through that. So that's the only thing that's actually on my needles now. I did just finish a couple things, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But my next expected cast-ons are, one, I am still working on redoing the Cabin Cowl. Once I finish the Sophie hood, I'm giving all of my energy to that, and also the re-knit and release of the Sens shawl, because I want those both done for Maryland Sheep and Wool, which is coming up sooner than I expected. But I also saw Caitlin Hunter's new King Salmon Hat. I am so in love. My dad grew up in, he was born and raised in England, but he was born in a little seaside fishing village called Whitby. It's now like a really big tourist town, but fishing has always sort of been a big part of just the feeling of being in a seaside town, and it was very reminiscent of like family holidays and stuff when we would go back to visit his mom and my aunts and stuff. So I am thinking of making the King Salmon Hat in 2 yarns that are very near and dear to my heart. I wanted something that felt very salmon-y and very like English waters. Like I know in the like Lakes District and stuff, there's some good like salmon fly fishing opportunities. So this color is very apt for today. This is called Storm Cloud, and it's by Brooklyn Tweed. It's Brooklyn Tweed Loft. And it is a really beautiful sort of muted gray brown with little speckles of blue. Now, I knit the Vatsland pullover by Ella Gordon 5 or so years ago now, and Storm Cloud was the main color. So I know it's like a color that works for my complexion because I absolutely love using it. And then I'm going to use our Brooklyn Tweed collaboration yarn Forge to make the salmon, because with the coolness of the Loft coupled with the rosiness of the Forge yarn. I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out. I think it's going to be really stellar, and it's just rosy enough it feels like salmon to me without being like properly orange. So very excited to see how this one works out. So those are my next sort of knits. I've been really into hats as well, so we'll talk about that more in a little bit. All right, let's move on to shop updates. We just finished our Nod to the New Year knit along. It was a knit along that ran from like January 15th to February 15th, and we had so much fun. It really forced us, both Jerry and I, to sort of look at hats and different fiber types and knit it. It was lovely. So I'm going to show you some of the hats that we finished, but first I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Okay, so let's look at some of the hats that we finished. Jerry knit a ton of hats for this. So one that she actually knit twice is the Tundrift by Melanie Berg. It was knit in Yorkshire Medley Light in the color Elderberry Jam, and then she also used Harmony by Kelbourne Woolens in their fuchsia colorway, and it looks just so beautiful. The Tundrift is really nice because you have this knot stitch brim, which just gives it a nice little patterned texture look. And of course the pom-pom on top is awesome. And it's just a nice little slouch hat. I really like it. I like that it's a strand of fingering weight. So Yorkshire Medley Light is fingering. I like that it's a fingering weight coupled with a lace weight because it gives the impression of almost like a woolen spun yarn by creating this feeling of warmth overall, and it allows some air to be trapped, so it feels really warm over my ears, and I really love it, which is also why I'm using Loft and Forge for that Caitlin Hunter hat. Same reason. I like that it is a true woolen spun, and so I'm really excited to get that sort of warmth without like a heaviness that sometimes we get in our true like 100% wool worsted style hats, which are great for the deep winter, but this is like a good sort of multi-seasonal hat option. So I love the berry color. I think it's really chic, and I just love how our Wensleydale yarn, the Yorkshire Medley Light, and the mohair silk play together really beautifully because Yorkshire Medley and Yorkshire Medley Light are both Wensleydale Blueface Leicester blends, so it already has some of that natural like sheen and halo, but the harmony just makes it sing and gives it this like level of iridescence, which I love. So that is the Tundrift hat. She has also made a Snowspire hat by Melanie Berg as well. This one was a ton of fun for her. It also is a ton of fun to wear and show. So this is in our Yorkshire Medley DK yarn. This color is Monk's Hood, and this is our natural elderflower. And it's nice because it's got this really nice twisted brim rib, and then this beautiful sort of like spiral look to it. I really like wearing this hat. This one is incredibly warm, and I love the addition of a pom just to sort of help like bring it down a little bit and not make it want to like stick up as far. This one is really warm. These are for those bitter days like in January and Feb when we were having stuff in the minuses, like in the negatives with the wind chill. This is the hat I was grabbing to open up the barn after I unlocked the shop in the so this one is Snowspire by Melanie Berg in our Yorkshire Medley. Jerry was knitting a lot more than I was, but I'm still proud of what I got done. This next one is Fither by Claire Walls. This one was beautiful because it was originally designed in a BFL blend yarn, and so our Yorkshire Medley was perfect for it. It involves these twisted stitches, and when you blocked it, it just really opened up. It is more of a very sort of slouchy hat. Once again, the pom helps sort of weight it down, but you can just see the texture and the stitch pattern just shines with our Yorkshire Medley yarn, and so I was really excited for this one as well, and this is in the Whitby Shale colorway. Really, really beautiful. I'm really chuffed with that. Two more, and then I have two more hats of mine, and then we're talking about some new things at the shop. Okay, so next up, part of it is part of our new publications. We got in the new book by Lindsey Fowler and our friends at Lina Publishing, Trails and Valleys. If you don't know where we are in our shop, we're actually along different York County trails and rail trails, and so this feels just really great. There's a lot of great hiking in our area here where we're located. Lindsey's book is all about things for when you're hiking and camping. It's like the perfect thing. So this is the Mountaineering cowl. This is knit out of our Seadale yarn. It took just over one skein, and it has these beautiful textured bits to it. I really love the rosy color, and I love how it fits. So this is nice because it just sits right really nicely just under your coat, tucked up against your neck. It's just a really good one for winter. It's not so close it feels like it's strangling you. It's a little bit of movement. It's like it's a great pattern. Also knit in the child size Shelterwood out of the pattern book, and it's nice because it's just a little play with rib. This was also knit in Seadale in our Hawthorn colorway, just like with the Mountaineering cowl. This Shelterwood is just really beautiful, and it does come in baby up through adult sizes. And I was all about finishing things and color work, so I finally finished my Alpine bloom hat in our natural Wensleydale. It is stunning. I am so in love with this color work, which is why I wanted to make the salmon hat by Caitlin Hunter as well, because I just really enjoy how it really is a picture on a knitted garment. It's not so heavily geometric. This one is really nice. I had a lot of fun. The 100% Wensleydale really makes it shine. It's really nice and warm, and it's just displayed so beautifully, and I think it's going to be a great piece to show off our flock yarns in, especially the 100% Wensleydale. But you could do this in any like DK Sport. If you wanted it to be super squishy, you could do Imbue Sport by Brooklyn Tweed. If you wanted it to have a little bit more loft to it, but still some sheen, you could use our Yorkshire Medley DK. I just really love how the natural white and the natural black work together, and I'm really pleased with this project. I started it at Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival. I had every intention of finishing it there because I was so in love with the pattern, and then life and Rhinebeck prep got in the way and it just didn't happen. So I'm really loving that our knit-alongs are sort of encouraging me to finish things. My friend Rachel Brockman is an amazing knitwear designer, and she had a test knit for a chunky hat pattern in colorwork, and I was like, absolutely. So I knit this flycatcher hat in the child size for my daughter, and I used the West Yorkshire Spinners Retreat Twist Chunky in the color Dawn, which is a beautiful Kerry Hill, I think it's just plain, it's just Kerry Hill. Kerry Hill 100% non-superwash wool, chunky weight, but West Yorkshire Spinners does these just beautiful, gentle color changes. And then for the red, I used Kelbourne Woolens Germantown bulky, and this is so nice. It is so warm, so soft, so squishy. It's one of those patterns that if people are unsure about using 100% wool, I'm like, you need to feel these because you are going to be in love with how this feels. And I just love how the subtle pink in the hat sort of plays into the red of the Kelbourne. I think it's just really beautiful, and I'm so pleased. So those were fast and furious, nod to the knit along things. I had so much fun. We're already thinking of our next craft along, and yeah, I'm so excited. So that was a lot. So just some quick updates for the rest of the shop updates. Working on our gathering space, as I had mentioned previously, we got in the flooring materials. We changed our plan and we're going with brick now instead of stained concrete. And I think it'll just give it a more like rustic look. We custom designed we did the inside of the shop, but like we custom designed it to feel just beautiful, cozy, eclectic, and we really wanted that as well. We wanted a space where it felt calming but creative for our gathering space, and so we think that the brick is gonna have that feel. as coupled with everything else we're doing. So we laid down the stone, we're working on leveling it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, in like the next 2 weeks we should be laying the floor. And then we have to finish boxing out the room, finishing, painting, putting in the exterior door. There's just so much we have to do, and we're really excited. So fingers crossed that we're getting that on the right path, and then we'll be able to start putting out all of our fun classes that we have planned for that space, plus our open studios at the farm. So that's one's really exciting. We also have the new yarn Harmony by Kelbourne Woolens, which I talked about, the beautiful mohair and silk. We used to carry something similar from a different company, and we stopped carrying it. And when Kelbourne came out with the Harmony, we were like, we need to get this because it's so popular to strand. It adds such a beautiful look to the project. Like, we just needed to do it, and I am so happy that we did. It's been doing amazing. So we've got 10 colors of that. It's just so gorgeous. Having a lot of fun, and I'm planning so many fun projects with it for the summer for me to knit. We also got some new bags and notions. We now carry Dagan supplies. They are based out of Rhode Island. We have things like her really beautiful pyramid pouches. We also have their knitting needle gauges and some of her bags and other notions, like this adorable acorn stitch marker holder. So we love the Dagan stuff, but we also added another bag company to our mix, and that is the Sula Bag Company. So Sula is awesome. They are made by makers for makers. So this is my Sula bag. If you all remember the Fringe Supply Company, it sort of reminds me of like a fringe bag, but with a million pockets. So there's 30 pockets, and I technically had stuff like all nice and packed, and then my 3-year-old got into it, so it is what it is. But there's literally pockets anywhere you can imagine. So I've got like my little notions kits in here. It's really deep. It fits a lot of stuff. I can pack so much in here. It's just really, really beautiful. And we have 20 or more colors available of the Sula bags. So this one's mine because I love the color peach. It just makes me really happy. I think they call this like orange creamsicle or something, but to me it's peachy. So we have this plus a bunch of other fun ones. Those are up on our website. I love the handles. I love that it fits so much stuff. And the pockets are like out of this world. I mean, it's just pockets upon pockets upon pockets. So we've really been loving the Sula bags. I've loved my Sula bag. Jerry loves her Sula bag. Our customers are loving them. It's just the perfect like grab and go, nice size. Just tuck my wallet into one of those pockets on the inside, and I'm good to go. I've got my knitting, I've got my wallet, I've got toys for my kid all like shoved in there. It's perfect. So we're all about the Sula bags. So my last parting words for this lovely episode 14 of Stories with the Shepherdess is that our virtual open studios are back officially year-round. We are going to be hosting our virtual open studios the second Monday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. We're super excited about it. It was so good with the Nod to the New Year craft along, knit along, to be able to chat with people and engage with people again that we hadn't been able to talk with in a while just because we didn't have any virtual things happening and they live far away, we were just like, we need to bring these back full time. So as of right now, until we open up our gathering space, our meeting opportunities for craft alongs and open studios and just to get on with people that you like miss and want to talk to are our virtual, you hear the roosters, our virtual open studios from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. the second Monday of every month. And then the last Wednesday of every month, we meet at Columbia Kettle Works in Columbia, Pennsylvania. And that is also from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that one is obviously in person. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely rest of your day, and thanks for hanging.